Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little different from usual because Bernie Sanders actually came to Chapel Hill a couple weeks ago on the insert date on the screen. I don't remember, but I wanted to cover it because not a lot of people go to political rallies within their lifetime. So starting off, we had our first speaker, Ben Cohen, who's the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, and he talked a lot about how the government needs to start paying attention to the citizens and not just big business, and just how Bernie would best identify with that kind of model. And then the second speaker was Danny Glover, who is an actor famous for his role in the Lethal Weapon movies, but he is also a political activist, which I had no idea, so that was interesting to figure out about him. And during his speech, he talked about how Bernie Sanders has been fighting for what's right and will continue to do that until a change is made. And he also said that it's important to recognize truths like climate change and global warming, otherwise nothing will be done. And then our third speaker, who was not identified in any articles or anything that I looked through briefly while I was trying to collect notes on this. And I did not record the part where he said his name, but I'm sure some of you out there will be able to identify him.
Our blood pressure is rising. The number of our people deported and in jail and on drugs is rising. The right is rising. Hate is rising. And as we stand here today, we are in unprecedented times. 2020 is right knocking on our door. Do you hear her? Yeah. Do you hear her? Yeah. She knocks on our door.
And then we also had the president of UNC's Young Democrats introduce our fourth speaker, who is Dr. Adolph Reed. He is a political science professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and he is a UNC alumni, actually. And he talked mainly about his time on Carolina campus and the ways he participated in political activism at UNC, especially with his role in the dining hall strikes. Our fifth speaker was Nina Turner, who was the senator of Ohio.
That your souls are open. That you understand, as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. understood, that what affects one directly affects us all indirectly. And by the grace of God, on the southern border, that could be us. But by the grace of God, the hundreds of thousands of people who sleep on the streets in this country, but by the grace of God, that could be us. But by the grace of God, the children in this country who go to bed hungry.
And then just to kind of share a short story that I know, there's a black woman that I know that applied to a job, and of course, with every job application, you're going to leave your name at the end. And her job application was rejected simply for the fact that she had an ethnic name. And the reason she knows this is because she sent another application where she used her middle name, which is considered a non-ethnic name, and they actually asked her to come in for an interview. So it's just crazy to think that something like that could have happened. And then we have our sixth speaker, Bernie Sanders himself.
Wow, thank you all coming out tonight, and let me thank Ben Cohen of Ben & Jerry's. And I don't know if Ben told you, but he is going to be the next Secretary of Ice Cream. A pint in every freezer in America. How's that?
A lot of what he was kind of preaching to us, I guess, had to do a lot with the issues that we will be encountering within the next few years, which I'm not surprised because you really want to cater your speech to your audience. So a lot of what he was talking about was eliminating college debt, which I personally think is possible, and Bernie actually cited some instances in the United States where this is starting to become commonplace. European countries have actually been successful in creating debt-free college, and if they can do it, why can't the quote-unquote #1 country in the world do such a feat? Bernie also wanted to promote better healthcare systems. He actually talked with a young couple who wanted to have kids, but they decided against it because they couldn't afford the medical bills and all the other bills that accumulate with it. He also wants to raise minimum wage to $15 as well as give women the right to choose. He said as a man that he doesn't feel comfortable telling a woman what to do with her body, which I very much agree with. One of the other things he also wanted to point out was that we need to recognize climate change as the threat that it is and the threat that is becoming increasingly worse. He thinks that more things need to be done, and he actually, he didn't give a full-out plan, but he definitely had some ideas as to what he wanted to have change in order to kind of reverse the damage that has been done to the environment and especially to the ozone layer. Something that Bernie was really proud to share was that he had over 1 million individual contributors to his campaign.
Million individual contributors. 1 million individual contributors making 3 million contributions. No candidate, not Donald Trump or anybody else in this race, has done that. In fact, no candidate, to the best of my knowledge, has ever accomplished that at this point in a campaign.
Now, what I think is great about this event is there are people from both sides of the aisle who came to listen to what Bernie had to say. Even if they didn't agree with it, just listening is miles further than what we've been doing in our central government and maybe even local governments, and it shows. It's really crazy to think that people among my age group will kind of polarize things to where something is black and white, where a lot of things are gray. So it's dangerous to see that people are trying to push things to extremes when there's not a need for it to get to that point. The thing that I think would help change this is just thinking with our own mind and forming our own opinion about things, because a lot of people in my age group tend to kind of stick to a group because it's the most popular thing to do or it feels the most comfortable, instead of kind of thinking like, why am I with this group? What are the values of this group? And do I honestly agree with these things? Because a lot of people are being misled, and that's causing them to blindly follow others, which is the true danger and all the kind of political scene that's happening now. That's exactly why I went to this event, so I can hear Bernie's voice for myself and decide whether or not he could lead the country and what qualifications of his really resonate with what I want for the country as well. So. Alright, well, that was the Bernie Sanders rally. Just wanted to get my notes before it ended. It was really crazy to hear that it would take 228 years for African American families to catch up, the average African American family to catch up to an average white family. It's just insanity. And then, I don't know, there's so many things that need to be done, so many good points that were made. I'm glad that there was such a big turnout, because honestly, not a lot of people participate in like political rallies like this, at least not a lot of young people, from what I'm assuming. And in middle school I had somebody who was a friend who was maybe 12 or 13, didn't have absolutely no idea who Martin Luther King was, which is shameful on the part of their teachers and their parents. And just thinking about it now, if you were to ask somebody who Martin Luther King is, I'm hoping they would say yes. They probably wouldn't know much about the political atmosphere of the United States, which is starting to increasingly become something that they just need to kind of pick up on, because we have major issues going on. But if you ask them oh, you know who Ninja is, or what Fortnite is, they would immediately know right off the bat. So I don't know, it brings a lot of points that the news isn't necessarily covering things that should be covered, or things that need to be covered aren't covered as long as they should be, in my opinion. But I don't know, just insane. It was very interesting to see this. My back definitely hurts for standing for so long. Political rallies are weird. I actually heard somebody hiss right next to me. So I don't know. Ugh. It was very interesting, but very cool experience. Very glad I came. All right, I'm getting food before the dining hall closes now. See you later.